Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Addiction Solutions with Roselle. So glad that you could join me again for another episode. And as I say before every show, I'd like for you to go to YouTube, go to the search bar, and type in Addiction Solutions with Roselle, and it will bring up my channel, and you can subscribe to the channel. You'll be able to view all of the prior videos and all of the upcoming videos. And you can pass this information along to your friends, neighbors, family members, co-workers, church members, anyone that you think may be suffering from some form of addiction and need some type of professional help. Now, there's all types of addictions, and so we don't want people to get hung up on, I don't drink, I don't use drugs. That is not the only addictions. I don't gamble. That's not the only addiction. You know, there's eating, there's sex, there's shopping, there's credit cards. There's all kind of things that cause problems in our lives. And addictions are tied to feelings. And most of the times when we feel good or bad, we'll go to that thing that gives us comfort. And yes, there are comforters for good feelings. And so, having said all that, let's get into our show. Last week we did chapter 18 from the 21-point manual. This week we're going to do chapter 19. Yes, we're coming down to the end. And so, as I said before last week, the 21-point manual has been finished. It is on a computer, but it hasn't been published. So after I do the outlines for the chapters, I'm thinking about going into some details of what's in the chapters. And I haven't decided yet, but I might do that. So that will consist of me maybe going to chapter 1 and staying there for a few episodes, so on and so forth, till you get the crux. And so what I've gave is just an overview of the chapters, but these chapters have been completed. So anyway, here we go today with chapter 19. And as always, you've allowed me to read from the chapter. Since I can't remember the whole chapter, I will give you what's in there. So here we go. Chapter 19 states, are you consistent with your 12-step meetings? Never get complacent and say, I can miss this meeting. When you start to think like that, you are in the relapse mode. You can't afford to miss meetings. Remember, meeting makers make it. Okay, now, what does this mean, Mr. White? Well, simply, you were in a habit of getting high or whatever your addiction was. It became habit forming. And at some point, it took you off of your everyday living. Now, the different forms of addictions cause different forms of problems. There's still problems, but there's different forms. So, for instance, drugs, alcohol become physically. So physically, you got to have them. So if you don't have them, you are definitely off course. Gambling, it's psychological. Eating is health-wise. Shopping, it can cause financial problems. Credit card, can cause financial problems. So my point is this. You stayed on track doing that. You got to stay on track with the things that are giving you relief or giving you comfort. So when you start to use the attitude, it's cold outside, it's snowing, I'm gonna stay home with my wife, I'm gonna stay home with my husband, you start making excuses. And so what happens is it's easy. Not because of the weather or you want to stay home with the family. It's just easier. And so the meeting you used to love to go to, it might have been a little distance. Now all of a sudden, that distance seems too far. And so in this day and age now, we're talking about how much gas prices are, and they are enormous. So that is a good excuse. But guess what? If the dope house was on the moon, or Saturn, or Pluto, or Venus, we'd find a way to get there. We didn't care how much gas costs. So it's the same with going to meetings. You have to stay focused on what has brought you to this point. So you can say a lot of things, but meetings and the consistency of going to the meetings have brought you to this point. You're still clean. At least I hope you're still clean. And so you can't all of a sudden just think that you can stop. No. Now, here's the question people ask. Do I have to go to meetings for the rest of my life? And many, many people ask that question. Look, let me explain something to you as gentle as I can. Once you stop and you no longer have that support and you go back to hanging around with the environment that got you where you are initially before these meetings got you into a different phase of life, think about it. What are you going to do now? You don't go to meetings, or you found an excuse or a way not to go. So what do? You still got the phone book with the phone numbers in them of friends who, for some reason, still do what they were doing, and it really hasn't caused them any pain. And that's what really is scary. I mean, I'm happy for they ain't got no pain, but guess what? Don't mean it hasn't happened yet. And that's the key word, yet. And it stands for you are eligible too. It just hasn't caught up with them yet. So you call them and they say, hey man, we're having a barbecue. Come on over. Or we going to the casino. Come on over. Or we going shopping. Come on over. These are your weak spots. What are you going to the casino for and you got a gambling problem? What are you going to the bar and you got a drinking problem? Why are you going to a barbecue and everybody's sitting out in the backyard, man, they puffing, they puffing a little weed and might throw a little rock in there or something and pass it to you. What are you going to do? Oh, I don't do that no more. Come on, man. Who you going to tell that to? Not all these people sitting around that know you. So the best thing to do is keep making meetings. Meeting makers make it. Might seem like it might get old, it does for everybody, but guess what? Look where it got you. So we're going to end it there. We're going to cut it off there, and I'm going to be back next week with chapter 20, and chapter 20 is really a good one. It's really a good one, so I look forward to seeing you. So like I said, go to Addiction Solutions with Roselle on YouTube, and type in the search bar, Addiction Solutions with Roselle, and type on subscribe and like, and I'll see you next week. Have a good day and stay blessed.